We're on a roll.
One question only, and you used your one question. How unfortunate for you. Squandered. I'm not doing questions in Spanish. Apologies for the chat. If that was a question for me, I do recognize that there's a question mark.
You're ready to go, Ben.
Cool. Well, great. I don't know. There are participants with raised hands. I hope that means that they have questions, but they may not. So if you're raising your hand with a question, that's great. If you want to put a question in the chat, that's great. I also don't mind at all if you just blurt out questions. Oh, good, it was a question. Let's try. Olga asked, what does cause exactly mean? Oi, okay. The definition of cause is that which brings about something else. I'm comfortable with that. Thanks for making it easy for me.
You sort of froze there, Ben. Do you want to say it again?
Yes. So I'm reading from the chat, and anyone, we could all read with me. What does cause exactly mean is the first part of this question. The definition of cause is that which brings about something else. I'm basically okay with that. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the result is certain in 100% of the cases. Then why are we saying that a seed is a cause for a tree and not a fox is a cause for a tree? If it doesn't have to give a certain result in 100% of cases, then why should we call it cause? Then can anything be a cause? What is cause in the highest school? Cool. Olga, are you here? Are you in the room right now that I can?
She's in the translator booth.
Oh, that's cheating. All right, good. But now she has to translate and say that she's cheating, so that's good. So she has to say she's cheating by being unavailable for me to follow up. Yeah, what does cause? It's a difficult question. It can be difficult if I understand the question. Does a thing have to give its cause to be a cause? I think it depends on how strict you want to be about what a cause is. What's the definition of a cause? That which brings about something else, right? That which brings about a result. So, is everything a cause? Anyone want to debate me on this? Anyone feeling live? Tim, you're here, you're hanging out. You feel like you would debate me on it. Is everything a cause? He's thinking, not refusing to answer.
I would say not necessarily. And I volunteer for the debate if you want.
Great, I'll take it. Would you give me an example of a thing that is not a cause?
I would dare to say emptiness.
Okay, so an emptiness is not a cause. We would typically say because it's an unchanging thing, maybe, right?
Yes, and uncaused.
Right, it's uncaused and it's unchanging. So what about changing things? Are all changing things causes?
Yes, they are causes and results in the same time.
So all changing things are causes and results. So how about a seed and a sprout? Okay, a seed is a cause for a sprout. Is that okay to say?
I think it depends on what school we are talking in.
Well, now you just said to me that all changing things are both causes and results. So you must be telling me that a seed is not a changing thing or a sprout is not a changing thing.
The seed changes into a sprout. So that's the changing thing.
Okay, but a sprout is not a changing thing.
If it becomes a flower or a bigger plant.
So some sprouts are not changing.
I would say that the image of the sprout, the seed, the mental image that is opening, that fraction, that mental frame, yeah, that is unchanging. This is what I would say.
Okay, so sprouts turn into unchanging mental frame. Sorry, seeds turn into unchanging mental frames of sprouts. Is that correct?
No, I didn't say that.
Seeds turn into sprouts rather than unchanging mental images of sprouts. Is that right?
Through unchanging mental frames that are projecting and creating the sprout.
Via that
Process.
means, seeds turn into sprouts, which are not unchanging mental images of sprouts. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
So a seed turns into a sprout. That's okay to say.
Yeah,
And both of those are changing things. That's okay to say.
yeah.
Okay. So a seed is a cause
Yes,
because it's a changing thing.
yeah.
And a seed is a result because it's a changing thing.
Yes.
And a seed before it causes, so a seed is a cause for what?
A seed is a cause for a result.
What's the result?
The result of the seed, I don't know, the sprout. Let's say.
Have you ever seen a seed that had already resulted in a sprout?
No.
So you have never seen a seed that was a cause.
Not through my own direct perception, no.
So a seed is never a cause.
I've lost you on that. I'm
A
sorry.
seed is never a cause because it never has a result.
Yes, you could say that. And I think that Seiji wants to join the conversation. I see him that
He has the ability. He has his own little mute button. He could butt in and be difficult.
I have a different question that relates to this, but I don't know
Okay.
if we're ready to change topics.
Because we're all feeling totally satisfied with how that went. Well, wait, no then. Wait, just not when I've got Anna on the ropes here, as we say.
Exactly.
Yeah. Seeding frenzy, that's cute, by the way. And relevant. So seeds are never causes because they never have results. Is that right?
If we're talking highest school, yes, completely.
In what school does the sprout already exist at the same time as the seed?
None. This is illogical.
Okay.
In all the
So
schools.
in all the schools, a seed is never a cause.
No. You caught me again.
Yeah. It's a difficult, and I think this is partly why it's a good question that Olga asked. Does a seed have to cause its result in 100% of the cases? And I don't know, right? What do you say, right? There are different kinds of causes. There are what we call a neerlengigu, which is the physical stuff that flops over and becomes some other physical stuff, like a seed becomes a sprout. And I think in a general way, you can say it is the cause for the sprout. But when you go examining closely, you run into trouble. And this is a big theme in the higher school. Everything looks fine. Everything's okay. I'm sitting here talking, you're sitting here listening. Seeds are causing sprouts. No big deal unless you go looking very closely. And then you run into trouble. So it does appear that seeds cause sprouts. And yet we can't find them ever in the same room at the same time. We talk about a relationship between a cause and a result, but they could never have a relationship if they can never meet each other. And yet we cannot help but see this relationship between them. And we call this relationship cause and result. And it's fine. And that, Anna, is a picture in your head. The relationship between the two of them is a picture in your head. You have the seed to see a relationship between the two of them. And so you do. And in my, and now we go to now my opinion, all right? Because this is a hard question, all right? So nobody say that any Arias said this, because this is Ben's opinion. But it seems to me that the image in your head of a seed and the image in your head of a sprout can be in the same place at the same time. And if you need a real seed to be in the same place as its real sprout, which is a result of it, now you have a problem. But if you only need two mental images to be in the same room, no problem. And if things cause each other, really, you have big problems. And if things cause each other as ideas in our minds, then everything is possible. I think. Seiji, what were you going to ask?
Oh, you know what? I think we should give people in the chat some. I can ask you questions over coffee or something. But I'll do it when my turn is up.
Okay. Roxana asked, is the emptiness of the three spheres connected somehow to the obstacles to omniscience? And if so, how? Man, I don't know. That's hard. I mean, is it connected somehow? I don't, real simply, I don't know. Less simply, so what is the three spheres? This idea that when we are doing an act, and often we talk about an act of giving, that the person to whom I am giving, I am interacting with through or as an image in my mind. The object I am giving is an image in my mind, and I am an image in my mind. Sometimes instead of the object, they say, by the way, the act of giving. So one of the three spheres sometimes switches out. Sometimes they say it's the giver, the receiver, and the thing being given. And sometimes they say that it's the giver, the receiver, and the act of giving. Okay, you find different presentations about that sometimes. So generally speaking, I would say that, now we have to talk about obstacles. Obstacles to getting rid of your mental afflictions and obstacles to omniscience. Generally speaking, you get rid of obstacles to your mental afflictions. That means reaching nirvana. So getting rid of wrong ideas generally means reaching nirvana. When you get rid of ignorance, when you have a moment that you see beyond ignorance for the first time in your life or in many lifetimes, this is what we call the direct perception of emptiness. When you see emptiness directly, for the first time, you have an understanding that is immediately opposite to ignorance. You see? For the first time, you have an understanding that the secret life that things are leading that is not related to the way I have loved people in the past doesn't exist. You see? That secret life buzzing inside everything that doesn't care about the shape of Ben's heart, when you see for a moment that that doesn't exist, that that could never exist, then you do this damage to ignorance. You break the roots of ignorance in a way such that ignorance will die. Like if you starve the roots of a tree, or you cut the source of energy to a tree, it doesn't instantly fall over, but it will fall over. And on that day, you have cut, as they say, the root of cyclic life, the root of ignorance, and it has begun to die. It has begun to die, and it will die over time. I think that this most closely relates to the three spheres, the ability to understand that I am no other than the way I am forced to see myself by the way I have cared for others. And the person before me is no other than the way I am forced to see them by the way I have cared others. The object I give them is no other than the way I have been forced to see it. This act of giving is not really an act of giving money or food or a punch in the belly or whatever. It could be seen as the act of giving the sweetest dharma. I think this most closely relates to what they call these obstacles to getting rid of your mental afflictions, or what they call the ignorance related obstacles. Obstacles to omniscience, as I understand it, typically refers to especially the seeds to see things wrong that may even still be around after you've stopped seeing things wrong. So there's this period between nirvana and Buddhahood, even, they say, where you still have seeds to see things wrong, they just don't go off anymore. But you still have those seeds, and then how do you get rid of those seeds? They call it ngengen len, which is like a subtle stain. And the subtle stain is often related to those seeds. Generally speaking, right, being able to perform an activity with the three spheres, okay, with an understanding of the three elements. I think you are most well prepared to do that through removing your obstacles to what they call your mental affliction obstacles. I think that most closely relates, in my opinion. The obstacles to omniscience are much more subtle than that. Oh, good. There's a question in Spanish that I don't have to deal with, unless.
I translated it.
Oh, you son of a gun. Okay, where did you translate it?
Oh, I can tell you how.
Okay, you can tell me.
What we learned in class in a conflict that the First Nation people of Oaxaca are going through. Now, I think we need further explanation from Liz Marin to ask Ben what specific problem.
Yeah, I don't know. What's going on with the First Nations people in Oaxaca?
Liz, si estás ahí, puedes abrir tu micrófono y yo te puedo traducir. I can translate for you, Liz. Ooh. Liz Marie?
No deal, huh?
Oh. Exploitation of the land and resources.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know about the topic. I mean, look, I don't, and I don't know in terms of applying. I mean, it's you know, sometimes the obvious answer is the right answer. I mean, as far as I can tell, I don't live in Oaxaca. I don't know what's going on there. I know that my parents and my parents' parents came from Europe and came to a part of the world that was not theirs, and took from people what was not theirs. And I struggle with that personally. I struggle with whether, you know, what the heck I'm even doing here. And I'm very much blessed because I live in a place called New Mexico in the United States. And New Mexico's cool. New Mexico is it's mostly Latin people, or very close, as opposed to much of the rest of the United States, which is mostly European people. But it's different here. So, and we have the I think the highest percentage of native people also of any state in the United States, except for Alaska, I believe. And I don't know what to say. Like, I can't exactly fix what my parents' parents did or what my parents' parents' parents did. But I'm very grateful living here. All my life I lived in places, and I lived all over the United States at various times. I lived in Florida and Ohio and California, and there was like a big German population in Ohio, and there was a Cuban population in Florida, and nobody knows what California is. But here, this the culture it's very beautiful here, and it's from here. You see, German culture is not from Ohio. German culture went to Ohio, but here the native culture is in the ground, is in this place, and it's very important to respect it. It's been very good for me to be aware of whose land I'm walking on, and that I wasn't invited here. And I've been treated very well here. I'm treated very well by people here, but I was not asked here. My son is in a school learning Spanish. His school is 90% Spanish speaking. He's in a program he's learning Spanish before he learns English formally. I mean, he speaks English because we speak English at home, but his formal education is in Spanish. My son is so white, you can see him from space. And it's very important, I think, that people understand that he respects this place. This is not our place on another level. And I think that the native people had a sense of this, that the idea of owning place is very strange. And space is right, is place. Place is sometimes a translation for space, right? It's an unchanging thing. How do you own an unchanging thing? How do you own the place where things go? It's a very strange idea. And we all need place to be. So how can you own the space that my body occupies? It's a very strange idea, but it is one that we try to assert on one another. I think it's very harmful. So this is all a complicated way of saying sometimes the answers are obvious to these questions, and I don't know the specific questions, but you care for the people around you. I always remember, Geshe Michael, there was a border dispute going on at one point. Still, we lived in Arizona, right? I lived in Arizona at one time too, and we were in southern Arizona at Diamond Mountain. You know, we all lived there for a bit, and it's very close to the border of Mexico. And there was steady traffic going through of people who were struggling to find work in the north in the United States. And Geshe Michael said, that when will people stop coming here for jobs? They will stop coming to the United States for jobs as soon as the pay is better in Mexico. Which is like, it's too obvious, right? It's too obvious, but he's right. He's right. It instantly solves the problem. To take care of everybody instantly solves the problem. I mean, this is Seiji's book. It's simple, right? You don't need the book. Stop thinking about yourself and take care of everybody else. By the way, his book has transitioned to the idea of you don't exist the way you thought you did anyway. So why are you taking care of this you that doesn't exist anyway when you could be taking care of other people who don't exist anyway, Roxana, right? If you think in terms of the three spheres. Just take care of people. Just take care of people. It's so simple. And it's not, so it's, do these things apply to real world political, geopolitical, economic, yeah. But it's just, it's more simple than people can bear. And so now we have I just read today, that the 3 doses of the Pfizer vaccine does seem to be effective against the Omicron variant of the COVID virus. And that's good if everybody has the vaccine. And it's not good if not everybody has the vaccine. And so here, for example, America has been an example of a country that has held on to as many bits of the vaccine as we can, and we left places in Africa and India without the vaccine, and then the vaccine mutates. We just didn't share with people. It's real simple. We didn't take care of people. And it's not, we think of it as magic, some sort of magic around cause and effect, some sort of magic around karma and emptiness. It's not magic, it's the way the world works. And on the day when you have the power to fly through the sky, it won't be magic then either. You'll just understand how cause and effect work. When you can read the hearts of other people and know exactly what to say to them, to help them, it won't be magic. It'll be as obvious as if you don't give everyone in the world what they need. If there is a wet market somewhere where people are living in filth, you might get sick wherever you are in the world. That you could be in the highest tower. You could be the president of the United States, and you could get sick from a virus that happened because on the other side of the world, there was a place where people were living in filth and sickness, and you didn't care. And of course, we did see this happen. Okay, Jasmine, maybe. Oh no, this is the same question. I'm not doing that again. I already avoided that question the first time. Let's see. What? Oh, I see. You're putting in translations. That's very thoughtful. Oh, Olga, I just got to the part where you said slow down, please. A bit late for that. Sorry. Let's see. Seiji, do you have a question here? I'm going through questions. There are 29 messages, but I'm slowly going over. Go ahead.
It's a quick question.
Oh, good.
So, okay. So I have a hole in my logic, and I want to help ask you to help me. So we say that we're talking about seeds as causing physical seeds, right? So
what did you say? We're talking about seeds as the cause of physical seeds? Is that what you said?
Seeds, physical seeds as causes. Or
good.
Most like when you talk about the 3 types of interdependence, causes, parts, and labels, right? Causes in that sense is talking about physical causes, correct? Like material causes.
In the sense of what are we talking about? Physical causes?
You know how I think it was in ACI 1 when we see the 3 types of how things are interdependent according to functionalists, all that.
Okay.
Like, things depend on causes, on parts, and then on the label that we put.
It doesn't have to be physical. In that case, it could also be mental. So, for example, an awareness leads to the next moment of awareness, leads to the next moment of awareness. But it is true that in the functionalist systems, when they refer to things depending on their causes and conditions, they are talking about changing things that function. Don't have to be physical per se.
Okay, so if mental seeds can be causes too, how can we say? Because I was thinking about it when we came in Adam's text. How can we say, for example, that on changing things like emptiness or whatever, they do come from seeds. They're not called, they're uncaused, but they have to come from seeds, otherwise they would be self-existent, correct? Is this a correct logic, or there's something there that doesn't make sense to me?
Well, when you say come from, do you mean, does that necessarily mean caused by? So
exactly, yes.
Like, where did the lack of a monkey on my head come from? Like, who came and dropped off the fact that there's no monkey on my head? Nobody. There just don't happen to be a monkey on my head. So if no one caused emptiness, would things be not empty? Like what, or wouldn't that then have to be caused? Right? So the idea of unchanging things is does someone have to show up with a seed? Someone has to show up with a seed for your understanding.
Yeah.
That's true. So like there's this there's this question of like if karma is empty, or if emptiness is empty, if emptiness could someone, what would happen if the seeds weren't there for emptiness? You see, could you project things as being self-existent if you had the seeds? If you didn't have the seeds for emptiness, then would that mean that you do have the seeds for self-existence? And then could you project things as being self-existent?
No.
Oh, isn't that what we do, says Joel? It's a good question. Yeah, right. I mean, we do have the seeds to see things as self-existent. That's right. Does that make them so? For example, I have the seeds to see a computer in front of me, and that makes it so. And if I have the seeds to see things, can you still, I mean, this is another question. Can you be wrong? And I won't forget the question we came from, okay? If you say that you can't be wrong because whatever your seeds show you, that's right for you, then you would have to say that you could never think that you were wrong. Because if you think that you're wrong, you're either wrong because you can never be wrong, or you're right about being wrong, in which case you were wrong. So it must be possible to be wrong about things. Okay, firstly, okay? Then that means you can be wrong about seeing things as being self-existent. And in fact, if it were possible to project things as being self-existent, the only way the world could accept your projection would be if it was empty. So you would be seeing things self-existently only in dependence upon the fact that they are not self-existent.
Right.
Which seems like a problem to me. So it doesn't seem like you can project things as being self-existent because they would only be projected upon the fact that they're not self-existent. You see, things are empty, meaning they can receive your projection, meaning they don't already have a way they are before you get a chance to project onto them. They're empty. So what state of affairs would allow you to project things as self-existent? Now, are things dependent? Okay, is emptiness dependent? Is emptiness caused? I think is a different question than is emptiness dependent.
Mm-hmm.
Is it dependent upon you thinking of reality in a certain way? I think you have to say yes. I think you have to say yes. I think you still say all things are dependent. Well, now when you say really, you make me nervous. And a good debater, anytime they hear the word really, the hair stands up on the back of their neck.
No, I take it back. It was more not in that sense.
And it's a cute thing because in these 3 presentations that you're referring to in course 1, class 9, I think even, the functionalist school, the lower schools say that when we talk about dependence, it means that everything depends on causes and conditions, okay? Like emptiness would have to be caused. But the problem is that emptiness is not caused. And in fact, the problem with that presentation is that it leaves out emptiness, and then emptiness would not be dependent. This is why the next school up says, hey, things are dependent on their parts, right? Because we can talk about parts of emptiness. Part of the emptiness of this computer is the emptiness of the keys. Part of the emptiness of the computer is the emptiness of the screen. Or you could say part of the emptiness of this computer is the emptiness of the computer the moment after it was built. Okay? And then part of the emptiness of the computer is the emptiness of the computer today. And you could say, now, that's fine, and the higher school doesn't disagree with that. And I think it's important to point out that when we talk about the highest presentation of dependence, it doesn't disagree with that presentation. It does disagree with the first level. It does disagree that dependence means everything's depending on causes and conditions, because that leaves things out. But it doesn't disagree with the presentation that says things are dependent on their parts. That's true. The higher presentation just points out that the parts are also dependent. That things are dependent on projecting onto projections. So, is emptiness projected onto something? Seiji.
Well, I would say it has to. I mean, it's weird because I've learned it's uncaused, blah, 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 but it has to. Otherwise, it doesn't come from seeds.
Well, you just said caused again, but I'm saying maybe it means dependent.
Right.
Dependent. Is that the same as caused? And we throw those words around, and I don't know that those words are synonymous. I don't know that those words mean the same thing. We have to think about it. Okay? Right. Does caused mean, is caused the same as depends on? I'm not so sure that it is. I'm not so sure that that's differently?
Or is the Tibetan different?
Oh, the Tibetan is different. Yeah, the Tibetan is different. Yeah, to lean on a demba, a basis, is different than to cause. You, right? You and Drebu. Cause and result is different than the basis and the thing that lies upon it. These are very different in Tibetan, to depend upon something. And so to put something on a basis, right? Do we project onto things, right? When I think of something, am I putting it onto a basis?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this is hotly debated, because this sounds like this thing that the lower middle way gets in trouble for, where we say, oh, okay, you're projecting onto a basis, so that must mean that you think there's a thing that is self-existent out there before you see it. And the way the higher middle way gets out of that trouble is they say, yeah, sure, but by the way, that basis is projected onto a basis. Okay, well, what about that basis? Well, that basis is projected onto a basis. And you can't find something at the bottom of it all where you get to stop this exercise. But that doesn't mean that there's any level that doesn't have something under it. Everything is projected onto something under it. But you could never find the thing where you finally get to stop that exercise. So don't go thinking that things are not projected onto anything. They are. Things are projected onto a basis, which are just projected onto a basis. So emptiness is projected onto a basis of, typically, right, in the direct perception of emptiness, for example, the lack of self-existence to seiji. How would that,
right? Emptiness.
the concept emptiness, right? Yeah. Is put onto the basis, which is the lack of self-existence of seiji. Now, is that a concept?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it is. If you want to go looking more closely, that's also a concept, right? Like the boss is yelling at us, and we look at their, we're projecting yelling boss onto an angry red face and some loudness. Well, is angry red face a concept?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what are we projecting that onto? Right? Well, we're projecting that onto, angry red nose and angry red cheeks and angry, right? Well, is angry red cheeks a concept? Yeah, it is. How do we do? There's something Kedrip J says in, I think it's his commentary to a guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life, which is ACI course 12, that when we are satisfied with understanding that things are projections, then this is what it is to think about deceptive reality. But when we are not satisfied and we keep looking for what things are placed upon, then this is an investigation into ultimate reality. Something to think about.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck. I'll be thinking about it too. Let's see. I'm sifting through questions. It's so easy if you guys ask. Let's see, according to the content. Okay, let's see. According to the concept of emptiness, when I see the seed that sows the melon, okay, that a melon comes from. Oh, the seed that sows the bean should also be my seed created. What kind of reason? I don't understand. I don't understand the question, or maybe it's not a question, though it looks like there's a question mark there. Do good things, let me see, do good things for good things. Is there a possibility that when I do bad things and get the best of it? If I understand the question, it's entirely possible I don't. Why is good gotta good and bad? Why does good gotta come from good and bad gotta come from bad? Right? Why should it be? I mean, the simple answer, by the way, right? First law of karma, right? Like comes from like. The result must be similar to the cause, just as a watermelon shares some similarity with the seed. But virtue, by the way, the definition, if you think about it, right? What's the definition of virtue? Does anybody know? The definition of a good deed, the definition of a virtuous deed.
That which brings
Pleasant
about
results.
pleasure.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, word. Yeah, it's that which brings about pleasure, that which brings about a pleasant result. So if it didn't bring about a pleasant result, it wasn't a good deed. You see? And I'll tell you, it sounds like a debater's trick, right? It sounds like a debater's trick. Well, that's the definition of the thing. It's always the case that a good deed must lead to a pleasant result. It ain't a good deed if it didn't lead to a pleasant result. And it's deeper than it sounds, okay? It sounds like a trick. And reality is a trick. And it sounds deceptive. And cause and result is deceptive. And it sounds like semantics, or just using words to come up with temporary definitions and meanings that all lean upon one another to come to some conclusion that isn't really based on something at the bottom of it all. And that is, in fact, how debates and reality are both constructed. Joel asked, oh, good, Joel, I can follow up if I don't understand your question because you're sitting right there. Isn't one of the realizations you have when you see emptiness directly that you've never done a single thing that wasn't selfish? Oh, I'm watching the time. I have 5 minutes. Okay. If so, then how do you take care of others? Oh, cool. That's nice. That's a nice question. That's a nice one to end on. It's going to be the one I end on. I love this question. I think I've heard a lot of people say that this made them sad when they first heard this. It made me happy when I first heard this because I knew already, I had figured this out. I'm not a genius or anything, but I had figured out that the more you think about it, the more you can get back to your own self-interest in everything you ever did. You know, the main thing I would say is like, it's okay, man. You know, like it's okay. Like it's okay for you to get something out of it too. And if you find personal gratification in caring for others, it's a miracle. It's so wonderful. And if you, when I think about it, you know, I want to do nice things and I want to be thoughtful. I want to be considerate. I want to be kind. And to some extent, it's so that people will think that I'm kind, and it's so people will like me. I want people to like me. And how fortunate that that's what I want to do to get people to like me rather than, I don't know, be really good at being mean to other people and having people be impressed by it. It's a beautiful thing to take care of other people, and don't sweat so much. Your motivation is complicated. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's a beautiful thing to be driven to take care of others, and don't stress so much about your motivation. You don't have that much control over it. Just be nice to people. Take care of each other. And if you have any motivation at all that gets you excited about taking care of people, it's a miracle. I mean, honestly, sometimes I do it for terrible reasons. Sometimes when I'm mad at someone, okay, I have a choice. I can yell at them, tell them they're stupid and wrong, or I can be so nice to them, right, that they will, we call it giving someone enough rope to hang themselves, okay? This is also, we call this passive aggression, okay, in the West, right, in America, right? This is like, you seem like you're being nice, but it's a way of being mean. It's still better. It's still better than punching them in the belly. It's a start, you know, like do what you can, whatever. For me personally, okay, if I can use my mental afflictions to at least get myself to do the nice thing, even if I'm doing it for the wrong reason, at least it's somewhere to start. At least do a nice thing. It's wonderful. And for whatever reason, I have this idea, like, I want you guys to like me. I want you to think I'm nice. I want you to think I'm clever. And for whatever great blessing, for whatever great reason, I feel like I want you to like me for being nice, for being kind, for being considerate, for encouraging you to love one another. That if I had the ability to inspire you to love one another and to understand the world is not coming at you, but from you, to understand the world is coming from you in a way such that when there is love in your heart, there is nothing it does not touch. That if you got excited about that, that if I could get you excited about that, then you would think I was cool. And that's pretty good. That's pretty good. You know, that's pretty good. At least that's what I'm doing, you know? At least love is the thing I'm trying to use to get people to like me. That's pretty good, at least, you know? And will I eventually have an even higher, purer motivation? Well, I'll tell you when I get there, you know? In the meantime, I want you to love each other and I want you to love me. I want to be loved too. And thank goodness, you know, thank goodness that's what's in my heart. It's okay. No shame, no shade, no lemonade, we say. Of course I want you to love me. Of course I do. And I promise I'll love you back, and I'll love you back first if I can. If that's what I think will help me get there, I'm in. Thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure to share this wonderful journey with you guys. I'm having a wonderful time in these classes. I hope you are too. It's all the same thing. It's all the same message, right? We're all working together to keep our minds in one place. Ben is a bad meditator. I can't keep my mind on love all day, every day, but I can come at it from 1,000 different angles, through 1,000 different books, with 1,000 different friends, and no one look, but your mind was on love all day, from one angle or another. And that's the whole game, you know, is learning how to love one another all day, every day. And we make it more complicated because we need it to stay engaged, because we have poor attention spans, but it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter. And you don't need anything but to keep your mind on love all day. And then you'll see more of it, and see more of it, and see more of it, and see more of it, because there's nothing in the universe to block, to stop, to self-existently prevent the power of your love from infiltrating the universe to its very depth, to its very core, and deeper, because it has no core that is deeper than love. Okay, I love you guys. I'll see you later. Have a nice break. See you at this evening's class, or the morning's classes, or whatever it is for you when we meet again. Okay.
So
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, guys.